Good day, everyone. My name is Giancarlo Castro, and I'm going to report Chapter 2.4 Measures of Research Impact. So, there are many refereed scientific and engineering journals, and so an extremely large number of published articles. The number appears to increase exponentially. Published articles in peer reviewed scientific and technical publications, the quantity um, seems to be rising rapidly. The principal readership of these journals is other researchers in closely related areas of research. Other scholars working in closely similar research areas make up the majority of these journal readers. While it is quite difficult to establish how many people read a particular paper, for online journal articles, the number of downloads is one such measure. The reference in a paper to another published paper is called a citation or cite. Although it can be challenging to estimate the number of people who read a certain article, the number is usually on online journals articles referencing another piece of writing that has already been published is known as a citation or simply citing in writing. It can be argued that the inclusion of a reference to a paper in another paper is evidence that the cited paper formed the basis on which the new research was undertaken. It might be argued that mentioning a piece of writing in another piece of writing is proof that the cited piece served as the foundation for the current research. Because of this, and because automated citation counting is possible, you may check the citations a published paper has received. So, a paper might have a very large number of citations because it is very innovative. Mm, like example is through the inclusion of groundbreaking research. Number two, it is a review paper with many references, and so subsequent papers need not contain a comprehensive review of a large number of papers individually to satisfactorily demonstrate background knowledge in the field. Or number three, it might be incorrect. It's very obvious that if your research paper or your published article is incorrect, many researchers would cite your research, and of course they will react because your paper is incorrect. Those researchers or yeah, those researchers will criticize your research or something like that. Thus, citation counts alone cannot be used as an assessment of the impact or value of the research outcomes reported in the paper. However, citation counts do constitute a measure of interest in a particular paper. So, citation counts alone, therefore, cannot be used to evaluate the significance or worth of the research findings presented in the paper. Citation counts do, however, represent a measure of interest in a specific publication. So, the majority of scientific articles only have 4 to 5 citations, which ought to be mentioned. This shows that Even though the journal editorial board and reviewers believed the published paper had uniqueness and worth, there isn't much interest in the majority of papers that are published. So the older the paper, the longer the time available to readers, and the more citations that the paper might accumulate. Thus, a paper published last month is unlikely to have any citations. Conversely, the older the paper, the less likely it is to be highly relevant as more innovations are published. So, there are some influential articles in the field whose citation rate does not decline with time. Example, the number of sites per year. The idea of additional metrics of study impact, such as citations and the length of time during which these citations are created, is introduced here. One index that considers time and citations is the half-life of a journal. The effectiveness of researchers and the journals themselves are occasionally assessed using these indices. So, the H index for an individual researcher is the number of papers that have more than the same number of citations. Example, if Mary Jones has published 100 papers in her career and 12 of these papers have been cited 12 times or more, Mary has an H index of 12. Database versus index. It is clear that the number of citations depends on the database used. If the database includes journal papers, conference papers, books, and magazine articles, then the citation count will be higher than an index where only journal citations are counted. While the H index pertains to individual researchers, most journals are scored on their impact on the research field and the overall body of knowledge. So basically, the H index score is a standard scholarly metric in which the number of published papers and the number of times their author is cited are put into relation. The formula is based on the number of papers, H, that have been cited and how often, compared to those that have not been cited or cited as much. So, publication versus time cited. So, if you have one article published and it has been cited 79 times, if you have two articles, it might probably be cited 71 times. If you have three articles, then it's 45 or something like that. Well, for if you have four articles, you have 36. And for five, you have 10. Six is 7. 7 is 6. 8 to 3. 9 to 1. So these are example of the H index. So if I mean if so the formula is that articles, number of papers that has been cited more than the number of the articles. So if you have six articles and those six articles has been cited more than six times, then you have an H index of 6. So citation statistics and access to the paper abstracts and full text, if publicly accessible, are available from these databases. We have Scopus, Google Scholar, Thomson, and the other on the right side here is the references. So, two accepted measures of the impact of a journal. The impact factor is a yearly average of the number of citations per paper published in the journal. Specifically, it is the ratio of the number of articles published in the current year with citations to articles published in the previous 2 years, divided by the total number of articles published in the previous 2 years. Example is uh, a journal volume 7 was published in 2010 and contained 100 articles. Volume 8 of the same journal was published in 2011 with 135 articles. That means 235 articles were published in these 2 years. The 2012 journal impact factor for this journal is the ratio of the total number of citations contained in is all articles in all journals published 2012 to the number of published articles in these 2 years. Example, 235 articles. If the number of citations in 2012 publications to these articles is 322 citations, then the 2012 impact factor of the journal is 322 divided by 235 equals 1.37. So the measures of research impact, um, I'm gonna end here and thank you for listening, everyone. Have a good day ahead. God bless.